Greetings, everyone. I'm Dr. Anth. Over the years, I've discovered that many people, even many highly educated people, equate having lots of stuff with intelligence. I disagree. I want to begin with the past by looking at the present. Look around you right now. What stuff do you have that is made of paper, or fabric, or wood, or grass-like baskets? In a serious fire, how much of that stuff would survive? Probably none of it. Now you also have stuff made of metal. That stuff would probably survive fire to some extent, although it might just melt into an unusable blob. Plastic would also melt into a blob. Glass might shatter, might melt. It's possible ceramics would survive, but they would probably have lots of cracks or breakage. Even rocks can explode from the heat of a fire, although they would stand the best chance of survival. So after severe fire, you won't have much, if any, usable stuff. Let's say instead of a fire, you're in a flood. Paper would be turned to pulp. Fabric, grass, wood would get moldy and rot. Glass would break. Some metals would rust. You might have more salvageable stuff, but you might not. Now, let's say that neither of those things happened, but that you died and your stuff was abandoned. How much of your stuff would survive 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years? The further in time from the present, the less of your stuff would survive. And if some of it did survive, it might not be obvious what it once was. After 100,000 years, something made of rock might well survive. It's also possible that bits of ceramics would survive, but almost nothing else unless preservation conditions were extraordinary. Archaeologists who study a site from 100 years ago find lots of clearly identifiable stuff. Even 1,000 years ago, there's a lot of stuff. But by 10,000 years ago, there's mostly just stuff made of rock or ceramics and sometimes metal. 100,000 years ago, archaeologists are lucky to find anything. Does this mean that people living 100,000 years ago didn't have anything? No, it doesn't. Does it mean that people living 1,000 years ago were smarter than people living 100,000 years ago because we find lots of stuff from 1,000 years ago? No, it doesn't. Now, as I discussed in my video on agriculture, when people were forced into farming, they were also forced to quit foraging. Foragers were healthier because they could move from place to place to find new sources of food and to escape from diseased animals. But when you are moving a lot, the last thing you want is a bunch of stuff, particularly when you can easily make more stuff when you get to your next stop. Foragers, past and present, who move a lot over the course of the year, don't have much stuff because it's not practical. Agriculturalists, who are settled in one place, don't worry about what to do with stuff when they move because they don't move. So, stuff accumulates. The more stuff you have, the more likely some of that stuff will survive to be found by archaeologists. The less stuff you have and the more you move, the less likely archaeologists will find anything. Does this mean that agriculturalists with lots of stuff in one place are smarter than foragers who have few items because they move a lot? No, it does not mean that. How much stuff you have has nothing to do with how smart you are. How much, how little stuff is found by archaeologists has more to do with how much time has passed and how often our ancestors moved than with how smart they were. Stuff does not equal smart. Another reason that agriculturalists have more stuff than foragers is because agriculturalists have bigger populations. More people living in one place bounce more ideas off each other to come up with ideas for new stuff. Does this make agriculturalists smarter? No, it does not. The ancestors of agriculturalists were, after all, foragers. Agriculture didn't make people smarter. It might even be the reverse, as their growth was stunted due to poor nutrition and disease. Agriculture just put lots of people in one place to share their probably less smart brains. Now, say it with me. Having lots of stuff does not mean that you are smarter than someone who has very little stuff. Stuff does not equal smart. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to my channel.